Trying to stay anime only for shonen related things is as impossible as Mission Impossible itself. The hype is something that invades all platforms, and no matter how hard you try to avoid it, it'll always find its way to you. You get off Twitter, it'll be on YouTube, and you get off YouTube, it'll be on your TikTok. I've ended up having to cave and read certain series just to not worry about getting constant spoilers. Two series I've been able to avoid doing so, however, being Demon Slayer and One Piece. With Demon Slayer, I find the presentation worth the wait, as the story doesn't necessarily give me the urge to want to go and read after each season. Ufotable has a pretty strong adaptation, and that is something I've managed to enjoy year by year. In One Piece's case, there is a lot more to take into consideration. On top of the length of the series, One Piece has a lot of traction and content being covered weekly. Of course, with it being one of the big three, it's bound to be talked about no matter what, especially when there is a transformation involved. Gear 5 was something that I could not avoid no matter what I tried to do when it first appeared in the manga. From all the fan colorings to the content creator conversations, and even it having a small debut in Film Red, you were going to hear about this transformation one way or another. I can't be mad because it's to be expected, and what I made sure to do to protect my enjoyment was to ensure that I do not get spoiled on the context. Substance without the context or crucial meaning of it meant nothing to me, and so I managed to dodge as much information as possible. I had no idea what was going to cause Gear 5 to happen, I didn't know when it was going to happen during Roof Piece, and I absolutely did not know what the significance of the power-up meant, especially for Luffy and the world government. By prioritizing these points, I managed to dodge spoilers harder than the Matrix, and I was able to arrive at episode 1070 with fresh expectations. The episode being the calm before the storm. Between Zunisha showing up and Luffy being knocked unconscious, I knew the time has arrived. What I didn't expect though was for this whole thing to be kicked off by one powerful heartbeat. So before we get deep into this, can we please talk about how the OST for Gear 5 is absolutely crazy good? The Drums of Liberation is such a really cool idea, relating to Joy Boy's heartbeat being so loud it sounded like drums. Toei absolutely cooked in the booth with that one. Now let's talk about the context of the event. First off, the foreshadowing for Gear 5 is absolutely up there as some of the best in the medium. Between the constant mention of the Sun God with Gear 4 and previous elements that fans have pointed out from past arcs, this power-up was always going to happen at some point, it was just a matter of when. I really like the fact that the government was so afraid of the true nature of the devil fruit that they tried to send people to eliminate Luffy before it could awaken. The true nature of the fruit being the human fruit is definitely an insane revelation, and it also makes me wonder, why did this man Shanks casually have a nuclear disaster level fruit on him? I want to imagine he knew what it was, especially since the fruit was unattainable by the government. Either way, what it has enabled Luffy to do surpassed my expectations, to say the least. It's already enough that a body made of rubber has been able to do so much when met halfway with the Haki power system. Add on that extra layer of being able to bring imagination to life and exude freedom from your body, and it turned into a whole Looney Tunes episode. The idea of the Toon Force making its way into One Piece was not on my bucket list, but it's something that, knowing Oda, I can get down with. Luffy being able to not only make his surroundings rubber, but also essentially do whatever he wants with his body is a pretty creative power-up. Need to toss a dragon? Just gain some muscle. Need to get out of a dragon? Just turn into a balloon. Wanna mess with a dragon? Use him as a jump rope. Wanna moonwalk? Alright, just do it on air casually. Heck, the man can grab lightning now. Where was this when we needed it in Skypedia? That one frame where Kaido realized he is not built for this fight was absolutely comedic gold, by the way. Power-ups usually invoke a lot of strength and appearance change, but Gear 5 has that, and then it invokes a lot of creativity as well. The entirety of episode 1071, I kept asking myself, how do you fight somebody that is serious yet unserious at the same time? Speaking of which, shout out to Luffy's voice actor, because she did an incredible job with all the little goofy sounds Luffy will make, and most importantly, his laugh. Another thing I find very interesting is that Luffy can kind of fit the mold with some of these attacks, and I guess adapt in a way. Sometimes when Kaido would land a hit, instead of going flying, his body would mold into the club or just flatten like rubber, only to return back to his human self. It's kind of hard to tell if Luffy is taking damage because what is happening on the screen is so nutty, yet he just keeps on laughing and going. The animators over there clearly know how they need to do Gear 5 with this level of cartoonish antics displayed on your screen. Eyes flying out their sockets, the goofy sound effects that sound like something straight out of Tom and Jerry. It's such a unique approach to such a high stakes art conclusion, but it works. You can't say that it doesn't fit Luffy's character because Luffy has always been a silly guy, and it also fits into the power system because we know Devil Fruit Awakenings exist. He has literally been released from the shackles of his limitations and reached a new way to fight freely. This level of freedom has put Eren Yeager on fraud watch. It's so much freedom that not even the rest of the cast can believe it. 1071 was a really epic episode, and shout out to everyone that worked on it, especially Vincent, for that really sick Gear 5 title drop. 1072 was also really sick, and the sequence by the legends Ota and Ohaira was an unexpected duo that created one of the rawest moments for Wano yet. Gear 5 has allowed the concept of enjoying battle to be presented in a new and most literal way yet, and while it may not be everyone's cup of tea, it is certainly mine. So with all that being said, we gotta talk about the future and my one concern around this power-up. First off, what does this awakening mean for the future in regards to the world government? As always, once the battle is over, the world will know of Luffy's triumph in Wano and see his new form on the bounty sheet. A present-day Joy Boy during the Great Pirate Era is a recipe for disaster as far as the world government is concerned. Will they try and act to eliminate him before he reaches the One Piece again, and if so, by what means? I know the story is slowly entering its final stages, and with the idea of a war that'll engulf everyone, removing Luffy from the equation would be the best course of action. I'm no power scaler or anything, but I can't imagine there are too many people left that would give Luffy a terribly hard time outside of the other Yonkos, but then again, I have no idea how strong the Admirals are these days, so any rematch is up in the air. Finally, I want to talk about if there are limitations for Gear 5. A contradictory idea given that Gear 5 is all about imagination and freedom, but this is more so leaning towards the idea of Luffy's limit to remain in the zone. Given he has had a long fight in Wano and been knocked out multiple times, we did see Luffy enter a state of extreme exhaustion. It's plausible to run with the idea that each gear has higher levels of exhaustion depending on how much energy and haki is used. If Luffy was in peak condition going into a fight, can he last in Gear 5 the entire time, or is there dangers of high exhaustion as well? Could there be future issues with things like heart strain, given how the heartbeat plays a huge part with Gear 5, as a loud heartbeat is something Luffy intentionally amped up within episode 1072. This is purely anime only speculation, and I'm not saying that there needs to be a limit, but I feel it will be consistent given how both versions of Gear 4 always had a period of exhaustion where Luffy cannot use haki. Then again, with this form being his peak, I may just be coming off as a downer and should simply look forward to the fights that Luffy chooses to go immediately into Gear 5 with. I also hope that Gear 5 isn't the only form we see for the rest of the series. I really do enjoy Gear 4's Bound and Snake Man, and unless they get adapted into Gear 5 some way, I would hate to see them fall off the radar completely. Of course, we are talking about driving things towards a climax, so if that is how it goes for Luffy, then I guess I do understand. There is nothing better than feeling rewarded for being an anime only, and I feel that Gear 5 was worth the wait. It has been a great power-up so far, and for the most part, it has been pretty cool. Anime pacing issues aside, Wano has been an incredible ride collectively, and Gear 5 was the cherry on top. I've decided to give One Piece its own section in my final video this year, because I don't think I do Wano justice without doing so, so if you're interested in what that details, make sure to stick around or come back to this channel around Christmas. I'm looking forward to the conclusion of the arc and what the future of One Piece has in store for me. Of course, I'll be remaining anime only, as the endgame years from now will equally be worth the wait. That's pretty much it for me though. As always, thank you for watching, and make sure to let me know all of your thoughts about Gear 5 in the comments section down below. Stay cool out there, and I will catch you all in the next video.